Okay, so in the previous class, we talked about web services. We learned about REST web services. We talked about POST web services and REST and SOAP web services. And today we're going to go ahead and talk about the event-driven architecture, where basically we publish the
That
events, and whoever is listening to those events will be the one get the information. Okay, so we talked about real-time integration where we used either REST or SOAP. Then we also have something called as bulk API. And in the bulk API, if you had large sets of data or a CSV sheet that you want to insert, then in those cases, you will use a bulk API. And Salesforce automatically gives you out of the box APIs to insert records into standard object or custom. But if you want a customized output, then in that case, you will create your own custom API. Okay, so now in this particular tutorial today, we're going to talk about platform events. Okay, this platform events, and there is another one called as change data capture. Okay, so both of them work on the event-driven architecture. What does that mean is basically a system will publish an event, and that event will basically go over to a event bus. Okay, this is your event bus, and whoever is subscribed to this or whichever system is subscribed to this event bus will get that message. So here in the case of REST, it is a point-to-point communication, whereas in the case of platform events, the whoever is subscribed and will be the one getting that message. And I've given you an example in the earlier tutorials on MuleSoft. So if you remember, I demoed you in the earlier classes where there was a org, okay? And then let's say there was an org A, and here this org was publishing a platform event, and MuleSoft, which is the middle layer, was listening to this uh, platform event. And then whenever that event was published through org A, let's say a new lead was created, then whenever a new lead was created, we were publishing a platform event which was listened by the MuleSoft. And what MuleSoft did was it passed that whole message, converted into a format, and basically created a record into the database for the same record that got created in Salesforce. So we saw this whole end to end in the earlier sections where you don't have to know how MuleSoft works and all that, but MuleSoft is like a works on API-led approach, and it's a middleware where it basically is responsible for transforming messages, connecting multiple systems, and MuleSoft takes care of how to handle message and how to change the format, all of that. Okay, so here you have is something called as the MuleSoft. Now, what we're going to do is I won't be using MuleSoft now. What I'll be using is two orgs here, okay, and org A, and we will have an org B. So org A is a source org, and one would be our target org. And what we are going to do is in the source org, we will basically create, let's say, an account record. Okay. Now, anytime an account record gets created, what we're going to do is we will make a call. So I'm using a combination of REST API and platform events. So in the org B side, I will create a platform event. And what will I do is we will go ahead and publish to this platform event via a REST call. Okay. So we will make a new record for this platform event on the org B side. Now, what we will do is whenever this event happens in the target org, we will read the event, and based on that, we will create the same account record. So in the real world, you might not have the org be also Salesforce, it could be a different system. But since it's easy to create two developer orgs, so we will have an org A, which is going to act as a source org, and org B, which will be your target org. So whenever a account record gets created in the source org, the same account record will be created in the target org. Okay? Any questions on the ask that we are going to do in this particular tutorial today?
Can you explain the process again? So we have an org A and org B, and we want to just create an account record on org B. Is that what we're looking to do?
No, no. So let me do it again. So let's say you have an org A here. So this is going to be two org. Okay, so we will have one org A, and the other org would be org B. So anytime an account record gets created in the org A, the same account record will get created in the org B. So basically, we will do this integration using platform events. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will go ahead and write a trigger. Okay, that trigger basically will get fired anytime a new account is created. So whenever a new account is created, the trigger will get fired. This trigger will basically make a REST API call to this platform event. Okay, to the platform event, which we will create at the org B level. And we will basically make a call. We will insert a record in this platform event. And org B side, we will have a trigger on this platform event. And then we will read the platform event message. And whatever that information we have published from here onto this org, we will create the same account record. So both these orgs will always be in sync. Whenever an account record gets created, the same account gets created in the org B as well. Did you understand the ask?
Yes. So is it a two-way integration? So if something is created in org B,
No,
org
this
A,
is only one-way integration.
okay, but it works through platform events, right? So if
It works through platform event and a REST callout.
right, if we don't want to use platform events, is there any other way to do the integration? Or
Yes.
that's
So you can basically the same, you instead of a platform event, you can make a REST API call to the same account API. Remember the account API we have? So
yes,
we will go ahead and first get the credentials for how to connect with org B, and then we will just do a REST call to this account API, and we will insert the account record directly as well.
gotcha. But when we use platform event, is there any difference in terms of authentication than the other method, or is it?
No, no. The authentication methods will be similar. Like you can use
Mhm.
JWT token, username, password flow. Those are different. Those authentication methods you can use for REST as well as for platform events. The benefit of platform event is in the case of REST, there is a point-to-point communication. Okay. Whereas, because you need to know the other system, you need to know. Whereas, in the case of platform events, MuleSoft is a good example. Salesforce is just publishing the event, and MuleSoft is listening to those events. And then, based on that event, MuleSoft can send the message to 5 different systems. So, that is the benefit of using platform events. It's more scalable.
Gotcha. And in terms of governance limits, is there any benefit in that too? In that,
Platform events, there is a governor limit on platform events, means how many you can publish, but it is you have to work under that platform event limits. There is a limit on publishing the platform events.
gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go ahead and first understand what platform events are. Okay. And then we will do the experiment. Okay, so this is the one I have, and I've uploaded the same document on the drive. So here, okay, what are platform events? So platform events are Salesforce event-driven messaging mechanism that lets system communicate asynchronously using a publish subscribe model. So basically, there is a publish subscribe model that works behind the scene. One system will publish the event, and whoever is listening to those events is the one can get that same message. Instead of one system calling another, systems, what they do is they broadcast events and subscribers reacts when those events occur. So in the case of REST, there is a point-to-point communication, whereas in the case of platform events, it's a broadcast mechanism. Just like we have like publish and subscribe, one system publishes and whoever and how many systems, there is no limit that okay, only these many systems can subscribe. So whoever is subscribed to those events will get that message. Now based on that message, they can insert a record, they can send a notification, they can release something, whatever they want to do. Now if you want to do an integration from Salesforce to another external system, you will use this used heavily for event-driven architecture. Now, why platform events for cross-org communication? Now, we have, when we connect to Salesforce org, we have approaches like REST and SOAP, which are synchronous, tightly coupled, means you have to know what is the end system's information, what kind of message it is expecting. So you have to have a very tightly coupled integration, and it is more failure prone. Whereas platform events is loosely coupled, it is near real time. Replayability means if, let's say, a message failed, you can replay the message using the replay ID. And there is a scalability factor in the platform events. Okay, so now, first of all, understand two orgs that we are going to build. So there are a couple of things I'm going to repeat one more time. We are going to have two orgs here. One is org A, okay, and the other one is org B. So org A, let's say, is the source org. So in this case, my core Sintara, if you remember, there is an org that I have called core Sintara. This is going to be my source org. And org B, which is ending with Khanna Agent Force, that is going to be my target org. So what I'm trying to achieve is anytime an account that gets created in the source org, the same account should get created in the org B as well. So what are we going to do here is we will go ahead and create a, first of all, we need to know how to connect from this org to this org, right? Because there is no MuleSoft here. So how do we connect from this org to this org? So there is a concept of named credentials. So far, what we were doing were we were just putting the URL in the callout itself, in the Apex code itself. That's not a good practice. So named credential basically will allow us to store the URLs, store the token. It is much more secured way of storing URL information, the endpoint information, the authentication mechanism, all of that is through the named credential. So we need to know how from org A I can connect to org B. So I need the domain URL for the org B. I need to know the authentication mechanism, how does this domain URL wants to get authenticated. So all that information I will need. And then from org A, I will make a call out, a REST call out to org B. Okay. So in order to make the call out, what is the number one thing we need to do? The first important thing I need to create.
In org B or org A?
In the endpoint URL. No, that is fine.
API?
But what is it?
API? We need to create an API.
That's a good one, but in this case, we are using the out-of-the-box standard platform API.
Client
Do we need
ID,
to authenticate?
Exactly. So what was it? Somebody just said something?
client
Authenticate.
secret, and client ID.
Exactly. So we need to create a connected app first. Now, where do we need to create a connected app?
In Lightning App Builder.
No. In which org?
Oh, in which org? In
So,
second one.
So A or B?
B.
Very good. So I need that because then only from org A, I'll be able to connect to org B, because through connected app, I will be getting the client ID and client secret, all that information I will be able to create. Okay. So now first important thing, what we're going to do is we will go and log in. So two orgs that I'm going to show you. So one is this Agentforce. This is my target org. So if I log in here, you will see the color would of the is green, and if I sorry, pink, and if I log into the other org, which is this one, the so this is my, and the color would be a little different. It's not. It's the same because I'm using both as a developer org. See if I can change it. Okay, that's fine. So this is the core Sintara, and this is my other org. So what will I need to do? First thing first, let's just go back. So we are going to go ahead and create the connected app. And let's go ahead and first of all, before I do any of this, okay. So over here in the other org, I'm going to create a connected app. Okay. So we can go to here, connected app. Okay, external client app manager. And I have created multiple, so let's go ahead and create another one. What do I call it? I'll call this is the Agentforce target org, correct? Email address is this. Everything is the same. We will enable OAuth here and callback URL. This we will change it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give login.salesforce.com as the timing, but we will change this. And we need to give full scope, manage user data via APIs. Then we will give perform request at any time. And I believe, what else do we need to do? Manage user data via API, perform request at any time. Let's just do one thing. To be honest with you, I'm going to move all of these just on the safe side. Okay, and then here we will enable the client credentials flow. Click OK. And this is, we have been doing it forever. So enable client credential flow, and then we will go ahead and click on create. And here we will go to the settings, OAuth policies. And here we will go ahead and enable the client credentials again. And then before we enable it, we will edit it. And we will, all users can self-authorize. Then we will enable the client credential flow, run as this is the username, and refresh token is valid until invoked, and we will relax the IP restrictions. So this is our connected app that we have created. And now if you want to see the OAuth settings, you can consumer key and secret, you can go here and it will send a verification code to my email. So let me get my email, and I did receive the verification code. It is 469350. Okay. And this is my consumer key and consumer secret. So I will leave this open here. Now from this core Sentara, I have to make a call to this one. Okay. So let's just get the consumer key and consumer secret. Okay. This is your consumer key and consumer secret. And then I will go here because org A needs to talk to org B, right? So what we will do is we will go ahead and create a auth providers. So here I'm going to go to the, what happened? Auth providers. So any kind of authentication, we will do it here. Okay. So any URL and all that. So we'll go ahead and click on new. And here I'm going to say provider type with which, or what is the, or are you trying to authenticate with the LinkedIn, with the Google, what? So I'm going to select Salesforce here. And the name, I will call it as Agentforce Target. Okay. And now it is asking me for consumer key. So I'm going to put this consumer key here. So make sure there is no space. And we will go ahead and put consumer key here. And then the next thing it is asking is consumer secret. So we'll go ahead and copy that and put it here. Don't change anything on the endpoint, anything on the token. Everything remains as it is. And then here, name this. Okay, that's pretty much it. Hit save. Now, once you have created the auth provider, you will see a callback URL getting created. Now, this is the callback URL. You will go back to your this one and update your callback URL. Very, very important. If this doesn't work, things will not work. Okay. So here is my callback URL. So the callback URL, I got it when I was creating the auth provider. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. So this is my callback URL. And then any questions up till this point?
So you put callback URL and
In the connected app. So if you see here, yeah, various consumer key and secret, it is asking for callback URL. So that callback URL you got from the auth provider.
But so this one is your target org, is that correct?
This is your source org. Source org
source.
is trying to make a connection to the target org. Right? So source org needs to know how to connect to the target org. And this is the consumer key and secret of the target org.
Right. But where do you put the callback URL?
So callback URL, I got it from here, from the core Sentara, which is my source, and I put it under the
target org. Okay.
Target org.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the next important thing we need to do is we need to store. Right now we haven't put the endpoint URL, right? So that will go under named credential. Okay. So that'll go under name credential. And this time I'm actually going to use a legacy one. And here we will create a new name credential. So we will call it as Agentforce target. Now, what is the URL? So the URL you're going to choose in this case would be this org's URL. So how do you get this org's URL, which is your target org? So you go to my domain, and that is the URL you will be hitting is this one. Okay, so you got the URL and you will go over to HTTPS. Authentication, identity type. Will it be, wait a minute. So this is your certificate. Name, principal, no authentication. OAuth 2.0, authentication provider. We will select the Agentforce target here. So in this case, I'm using the authentication protocol. The way to authenticate I'm using is OAuth 2.0. And so there are other ways of authentication. Sometimes you don't even have to authenticate when the other system doesn't need any authentication. So it will be no authentication. There is OAuth 2.0, JWT token, all of that. But we will stick with our OAuth 2.0. And this is where my authentication provider name is. If you remember, we created Agentforce target. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Scope is very important. So we will give the same scope, okay? API refresh token in full, that is the scope I'm going to give. And we will go ahead and hit save. See, Jesus, let's see. It's fine. Sometimes this error is pretty common, so don't worry. Let's see. It took me a while to get that. Name credential, Agentforce target. It is pending. Edit. It says error mismatch. Let me see. What is the external client app? Oh, here. So here I'm going to go to the external client app manager and the Agentforce target settings. And here OAuth settings. This is your HTTPS. Looks correct to me. Let's wait a minute and go to named credentials again and try to hit. So this is my.
I think the problem is that you check the start authentication. If you uncheck that, it would fix it.
Where is it? But I wanted to authenticate.
No, that's a problem. If you go down start authentication flow and save, that sometimes creates some problem.
No, but then it needs to authenticate.
Yeah, when you do the call out, it authenticates, but sometimes it creates some problem.
No, that shouldn't happen. See, now it is asking me to log in. So it takes a while. So I have to log in from which org to my other org. So I'm going to go ahead and connect with this org and then click no. And now it'll ask me for all these access. So I'm going to give that access. And now the authentication should be successful. Okay, so if you see here, if you go, so from Core Sintara, we were able to successfully connect. Okay, it was coming as pending. Now it is no longer coming as pending. So you can see here authenticated as Khanna Deepika. So it tells you now the orgs have been connected. So let me explain to you what I did so far. So what I did was I created a connected app, okay, in the target org. So in the target org, which is here, what we did, we created a connected app. Now, in the source, and this when we created, we got a client ID and we got a client secret. Once we did this, in the source org, what we did, we first created an authentication provider. And we said the authentication provider is of the type Salesforce. We pretty much put the same client ID and client secret, the one that we received from the target org. So we put there. When we did that, what we got was the callback URL. Okay. That callback URL, I went ahead and updated in the connected app. So far, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now what we did is in the source org itself, we created a auth provider because we need to connect to this org, right? So we created an auth provider, which was of the type Salesforce, all of that. And then we created a named credential. Named credential knows how to connect to this org. Okay. So it takes few minutes. You might get errors, but it will work at the end. So name credentials knows how to connect to this org. Once you have connected to this org, you're good. All you need to do is now we know how to basically send data from one system to the other. Okay. Think of it rather than a source org, you're hitting any other API. It's same as any other API. And we've been hitting so many APIs. But now what we know, from one Salesforce org, I'm sending it to the other target org. Okay. So we created a name credential. Now what we're going to do, we're logged in into the course Sintara. The first thing I need to do is I will go back to my target org, and here I will create a platform event. Okay. Now this platform event, let me log in. Okay, this is I'm going to create a platform event. So here we will go to the setup. And we will click on platform events. And in here, we will click on new platform event. And we will call this event as account. Let me delete this. I already have one created. So I'm going to delete this. Let me see what it has. Account transfer. It has external account ID and name. Okay, 2 fields. Okay, so now what will I do? I'll delete this one because I don't need it. Not sure if I will. Okay, good. So now I'm creating a new platform event. So platform event is just like creating a new custom object, adding fields to it, all of that. So here I'm going to call it as account. Plural label is account transfers. And hit save. So this is your platform event that you have created. And the other thing I'm going to add is few fields. So we will add a text field here, and we will call this as external ID, right? That was the field name, I believe so. External account ID, length is 200 or 20 is good enough. Hit save. And now we will create another field, text. Basically, think of a platform event as a way to take your message from one system to the other. Okay. And the other one we are using is the name. And this is also 20 characters and hit save. So we created a platform event in our which org in the target org. Okay. So now we will go back to our core Sentara, which is our source org. And here we will create some Apex classes. The first one, what do I need to do if you remember? I need to create a trigger on the account object. Remember? Because anytime an account gets created in the org, in the source org, I want to trigger something. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and create this account transfer trigger in my source org. So I'll go here. Source org is core Sentara. So I'm going to go here, go to developer console. Anytime you're not following me, let me know. Okay, file, new, and I will tell you at the end what am I doing, but now this is my account transfer trigger. And what is this trigger
I
doing?
think you created
Oh, I created
class.
class. Sorry. File, new, Apex trigger. Hopefully, this is the name of the trigger. It is on the account object. Click submit. Okay, good. And what is this trigger doing is very simple. It is calling another class. Okay. So we haven't created the class yet, but remember I told you the trigger should have very less code. Okay. So now we are calling the account transfer dispatcher, which is nothing but like a dispatcher class. And inside of that dispatcher, you have a method called dispatch. Okay. So what is the dispatcher doing? Let's look at it. So the dispatcher, let me explain to you. I made it more like a real world. So I didn't just write everything in one class. So here, if you see, what is this trigger doing? Trigger is getting fired anytime you insert a account record or you update an account record. Okay. Let's say we only care about insert at the time. And then you are checking if it is an after trigger, means once the record has been inserted or updated, then it is calling the dispatch method of this account transfer dispatcher. And you're passing the new records that you created. And if it is an update, you will also be having a old version of the records. Then what we are doing, we are in this account transfer dispatch, dispatcher class. It has a dispatch method, and it takes in the new list and old map. Basically nothing but whatever you're passing in trigger.new and trigger.old map. Then you are iterating over the newly created accounts. Okay. And you are checking is if it is an insert or if it's an update. So here in this case, this is an update. So here it was checking if old map is null or there is no old record, means it's an insert operation. So it had basically added that account over to this list. Okay, that's all. You don't have to worry about else right now. That is for update. We're just doing a simple insert, and anytime if it's an insert, whatever the newly created account is, we are adding the ID of that account over to this empty list. Okay. Then what we are doing in the next case, if the list is not empty, means there are records we just got inserted, here we are queuing a job. So this is a queuable job, account transfer publish job. So what was the method you need to implement? What was the interface to implement the queuable job? Do you remember? What was the interface?
Database.queuable.
Very good. It was a simple database. Was it database.queuable?
System.
What was it? Just queuable and database.allow callouts. So here is my class. It's a queuable class. And in here, all I'm doing is making a callout. So if I remember, this is my queuable job. And what it does, it through here, I am going to make a call out. So it means I'm going to call another class which is responsible for making the call out. Okay. So to this queuable, I am passing the list of IDs. So if you remember, I am passing the list of these account IDs that I just created. Okay. So here in the execute method, what am I doing? In the execute method, I'm fetching the name, phone, industry of the account that I just inserted. And then I am calling this account transfer callout service, and I'm invoking this method called publish to target. Now, what does this account transfer callout service does? So let's create that class. Give me a minute. I'm going to explain it to you all over again one more time. And here is my callout service. And what am I doing here? In this one, I am pretty much making the call to the external system, and that's pretty much it. And the only thing you need to do is update your name credentials. If you remember, it is making a call to this call out. Okay, we don't have to go to this name credential. Our name credential is this Agentforce target. That is our name credential. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my here and make a call to this. And then this is the API version. And if you remember, account transfer E is the name of my platform event. Okay. So basically, guys, remember I told you every Salesforce object has an API that Salesforce gives out of the box. Just like for objects, it also has an API for platform events. Okay. So what are we doing here is we are not creating that API, a custom API. We are actually using the out-of-the-box API that given to us by Salesforce, and we are making a post call. Post call means we are inserting a new record onto our account transfer E. Now, where is this platform event created? On which side it is? Is it on the source org or is it on the target org?
Target.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's in the target org. So what are we doing here is we are making a call to that platform event, doing a post call. So when I say post call, what will happen? A new platform event will get created at the target org, correct?
Right.
Right? So then what I'm doing is I am basically setting up the name, phone, website, industry, which I don't have to do. I can only do a simple, what was the name? A.name, A.ID, name, phone, industry. A.name is this. We are not passing phone. Okay, let's just leave it as it is. And then we are making a call. So now let me save everything and then see if this is working. Okay. Okay.
So basically,
now,
basically from the source org, you call the target org, the platform event on the target org. Is that correct?
exactly.
Okay.
Excellent. Because see here, we're making a post call, right? See, if it was a MuleSoft in between, I don't have to use this end rest call. All I needed to do was publish an event, and MuleSoft was listening to that event. So here, what I did was I created a REST call, making a call to my platform event API. And it is a post call which will basically insert a new record under the account transfer E. And I am basically setting up that platform event. So in the platform event, remember I added a couple of fields. One was external ID and the other one was name. So the name field is whatever is in the name, I am putting it into the a dot of name. Whatever is in the phone, I'm putting it in the a dot of phone. So I'm setting up that payload. Okay. And that is the payload. I am sending it over to the other system. And this is the request has been made. If it is successful, I will get if it is an exception thrown, then this is the call out failed. If it is successful, it will tell me that the target platform event was failed. If it is less than 200 or greater than 300, and if it is equals to 200, then this is the message I will get. Okay. Now, once this org gets the message, I also need to create an account record, right? So how will I do that? So I will create a trigger on this platform event, because what I want to do is whenever the platform event gets created, I want to create an account record. So this is what I will do. So I will go ahead and create a trigger on this platform event. And here is the code for the trigger. This trigger is on the platform event. So here I will go and Control V. And you can see here it is anytime this event is created, means whenever a new record gets created under this platform event, you will go ahead and create a account record with the same event name. Okay. And we will go ahead and hit save. Now, let's understand how many account records we have over here. So here, let's see how many we have. There are quite a few. This is my target org. So here, if I go, let's see, fingers crossed if this works, because it sometimes does have challenges. So how many we have? Where created date is today. Okay. So nothing so far. So what I'm going to do from my source org, I will go ahead and create a new account and Asian Force. That's it. Hit save. And let's see if it created anything. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. The dispatcher wasn't saved. Okay, what's happening here? Line number 3.
It's on the other one, account transfer trigger.
Oh, sorry. Let me close this, all the logs. Okay, so now I need to do this. So it won't work. Okay, so now everything is saved. And now let's go to the account record. And I'm going to create Asian Force source 1. Hit save. Now this is my source org. Let's see if in the target org, which is this one, the same record gets created or not. Nope, it hasn't. So let's see what went wrong. Let's look at the queuable logs here. So queuable was called. Okay, so it says industry is not present. No such column industry on S object of tribe account transfer E. So here Let's do this. We did have a name field. What are the fields we had on the platform events? So let's look at that. Okay, so under the account transfer, we have a field called name, which is there, and let's just put name only. So name is the only one. Let's get rid of everything else. And here, I'm gonna go ahead and put the external ID over here as this. Okay. Debug clear log panel, and let's go ahead and try to create another account record. Hopefully it will work this time, but let's see. New account name, agent for source 2. Hit save, go to this logs queuable handler, and let's go to debug only. Okay, so this time it did successful. And now if I go over to this one, and you can see here the record is successfully created. You can view this record in Salesforce. So basically from one org, we were able to connect with another org. So you can see here details, and this is the exact record that we created. Now we only populated one field. It's very simple to populate the rest of the fields as well. Any questions on what we did so far?
So can you explain how did you fix the last part? So those two fields should be declared in the platform events.
Yes.
That was
So
the
if you see
problem.
here, so if you see in the code in the transfer callout, see it is expecting this is the payload that you are sending to the other system. Okay. So the payload, you're sending it in a JSON format, right? So this is the key. And in the key, you're passing the ID of the newly created account. And you're passing another key, which is name. And in that, you're passing the name of the account. It was giving an error because it was trying to find industry and the other fields which were not there on the platform event.
Right. Okay. So they have to be declared in platform events. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, one more time, we have a trigger. This trigger is getting fired anytime a new account is created in the source org, which is our core Centara. And when a new account gets created, it is calling the account transfer dispatcher class, and the method name is dispatch. And all this method is doing is pretty much just get rid of this also. We don't have to worry about the else part at the moment. We're only looking at the insert. Okay. So here we are checking, has a new account got created? And if it does, we will pass the ID of the newly created account, and we will pass it to this queuable job. The reason it's queuable because it implements the queuable interface, and through this method, we are also making a call out. So you have to also specify allow callouts. Okay. And the other one here, in the execute method, we are retrieving the information of those accounts and we are sending it over to the next service. And this is where the callout is actually being made. So we are creating an HTTP request here. So you can see if you go up, we have initialized an HTTP request. We have specified the method is post. We are specifying, see, in here, you're not hard coding the endpoint, right? That is coming from our named credential. So if you have to access a name credential, you will say call out, colon, the name of the name credential, and then whatever after that, services slash data, API version is you are specifying the API version up here, V60, and then this is your platform event. Just like if you remember, the way to call an account API was something similar. So then what we are doing is we are setting up that JSON that we are sending to this event. And it is, this is the format. We are converting it into a JSON. So if you see here, we are serializing it. So if you see, we are serializing this payload. So it will convert into the JSON. We will sending it as a body of that message. And here is the actual send where the request will be sent. Once the request gets sent, we are going over, that request goes over to this org. And on this org, we created a trigger, and that trigger basically looks at what was passed on to the event. What is the message onto the event? And based on that message, it is creating an account record. Okay, that is all it is doing. Any questions?
Can you explain the call out process on that? It just I'm a little confused about this. So we have three, one, two, three, four different classes here, and how we call each class. That's the part I'm trying
Yeah,
to
so from the trigger, we are calling the dispatcher. From the dispatcher, we are calling this queuable job. From the queuable job, we are calling the call out service. And this is the actual class which is making the call out. Okay. Now, what did you not understand in this point? Tell me.
No, just a process. I was a little bit confused. Now it's a little bit clear.
Okay. So basically, we have the trigger, and this trigger will get fired whenever in the source org the account gets created. Then from the trigger, we are calling the dispatcher. It is pretty much checking, did the account got created? And if it did, what is the ID of the newly created account? And then it basically puts that into a list and send this list to a queuable job. From this queuable, it goes over to the, it makes a call out. Okay. In the queuable, you are doing a query. Get me all the accounts where the ID is whatever the ID in the list. So it is fetching the name, website, industry, all of that. In the call out, it is preparing your platform event. It is making a call to the platform event in the target org. And to this platform event, you are creating the body. Body is nothing but a JSON. And that JSON is the name of the account and the ID of the account. That is what we are passing in to the as a post request. So if I show you, you can actually do one thing. Okay, let me show you. So let's say we don't have this one and you have to do it from the postman. How will you do it? If you remember, how will you do it? The same thing you can do it through the postman also, right?
Right.
So how will you do it from the postman? So in the postman, I'll give you a high level. So this is a post request, right? It is services / Apex REST / account / V1, right? Now here, what are we doing over here? Over here, we are saying pretty much the same endpoint, services / data / v61 / s object / account transfer e. So you will replace the endpoint with the / services and that endpoint. Here, you will get an access token. In order to get the access token, you first have to, what was the other call? Jesus. This one. We will get authenticate yourself. You will get the access token, right? So once you get the access token, you will make a call using the post method and you will make the call to the platform event. Once that platform event gets created in the target, that trigger on the target will get fired and it will create the account record based on the message you have sent in the from the source org. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. One question about the dispatcher. When we use dispatcher class.
See, this is I just used this is thinking of like a framework. As I mentioned to you, you don't write much logic into the trigger. So you either create a handler framework where you create a handler and then the handler takes care. And there was another dispatcher framework which is responsible for dispatching the request to the third, basically to a system that it needs to be invoked. So you don't, dispatch is not a, this is not a class that came with Salesforce. It is my class, and I just basically don't want to write code in the trigger because it cannot be covered. So I moved it into a dispatcher. And all dispatcher is doing is taking the data and calling the queuable job. That is what it is doing.
Gotcha. So instead of dispatcher, we can
Created
use
a
handler
handler.
too.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, guys, I covered platform events in depth with you. Now, similar to platform events, there is something called as change data capture events. Okay. I want you to do the same thing that we did as an assignment. This is your assignment. So in the case of change data capture, you basically capture what are the changes happen in your data. Okay. So here you are publishing an event and all that. In change data capture, it will automatically tell you, okay, this change has happened, account record got inserted, this is the ID of the account record, these are the fields that now you can send that information to MuleSoft or to another system. So now, can you do the same integration using the change data capture between the two orgs? This will get you a practice also, and also you will learn about CDC. We usually, companies I've worked with, majority of the time they work with platform events, but it's good to know about change data capture events as well. Okay, so as an assignment for you, you will basically do the same thing, integrate two orgs, and this time use change data capture to send the data, to communicate. Will you be able to do that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. And tomorrow I'll see you. And tomorrow we will talk about test classes, and then we are left with dynamic Apex. Okay. And that is pretty much, I think, should be it. But if there is any topic you want me to cover on top of it, then do let me know.
Sure. Can the one thing if we can cover that, and that would be great, is just when we receive a payload, how can we retrieve it and update the records? That's
Okay. When you say receive a payload from in form of what?
like for example, like you get an incoming call, you receive the payload, and now you want to update the records or insert
Yeah,
the
so just like that, we did it, right? There is this payload coming to this target org. We listening to this platform event, and it creates the account record.
Yeah, but when a payload is a little bit more complicated,
No, it's just that it has more fields. That's the only difference. I'm only using one field, which is the name, but you can have 10 different pieces of information coming in the payload. It is just that from the other system, what kind of information you're passing. You might be passing the ID, name, cost, revenue, stage, etc. So the payload can be bigger depending upon what amount of information you are sending onto the platform event, but the process remains the same.
Right. So even if we use the direct API call, would that be the same too?
In the direct API call, if you're making a call, you will basically serialize that request. So just like here, you see this we're creating a map of the JSON. Basically, this is the map we are creating, and then we are converting that map into a JSON. So here you will be creating your request where whatever you are passing it. This is also a REST call we did actually. And this is the payload we are forming. And then that payload, we are converting it into a JSON and sending it as a body for the message.
Right. So if we receive it from a third party, right, in terms of in JSON format, we just need to deserialize it and
Exactly. We need to
map it.
deserialize it. So you will create those wrapper classes. Remember those inner classes I talked about?
Yes.
So you will convert it into those wrapper, and then it's easy to work with those wrapper classes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So that's all for today. And I'm going to see you tomorrow. Up till this point, I have uploaded all the videos and all the notes.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.